I'm so happy to be here. Now, this looks weird. We'll put it here. I'm so happy to be here, and I must say, I'm really looking forward to our discussion. So I'm just going to sum up what I want to say and then open it up so we can have an amazing conversation together, because that's where the future is being born. There's so much happening right now, and every year we look at the numbers and we say women haven't advanced enough, and diversity and inclusion hasn't advanced enough. And we keep talking, but not really having significant enough change. So I can tell you the way we're going to change things. You know how we've been talking about the different feminist revolutions? You know, number one was giving us the vote. Number two was giving women access to every job and the top of every profession. But I think the most important revolution, even though the second is still incomplete, is going to be the third feminist revolution, which is women saying, we don't just want to be at the top of the world. We want to change the world. Because the way it is right now, it's not working. It's not working for women. It's not working for men. It's not working for polar bears. So I think we have an opportunity now to really redefine what success is. And that's what I want to talk to you about. And as we redefine what success is, we are going to recognize that we have been living under a profound delusion. The delusion is that in order to succeed, we have to be always on. But just think of it. All the latest science contradicts that. All the latest science makes it clear that when you take care of your being, you're going to be better at the doing. And if you haven't taken care of your being, if you are running on empty and being always on, you are not going to be able to come up with the big game-changing ideas. You are not going to be able to bring joy into what you are doing. You are not going to be able to be a real change maker. You're going to be a transactional person doing the same things everybody has been doing for generations. And you know, that goes back long before science. Every creation myth, whether it's in the West or in India or in China, everywhere, says the same thing. God created heaven and earth in 6 days, and then she took the seventh day off. You know, clearly she didn't need to. You know, she's omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. She took the seventh day off to send a message to us, and we have been completely not listening. So it's time to start listening. Many of you are here in the Valley. So, you know, in the Valley, we just like glamorize software uptick time, right? We say things like this latest Salesforce app or feature has 99.9% uptime. Fantastic. But the human operating system is different. You know, for the human operating system, downtime is not a bug, it's a feature. So you have the power to change the way we run our workplaces. Because what I have discovered, what I have seen again and again also, is that when people are burnt out, they're acting out. And when men especially are acting out, guess who pays the price? Women. Even if you don't have hardcore sexual harassment, you have unprofessional behavior, you have boyish behavior, you have behavior that excludes women. And you just heard from a great executive at Uber. You know, I'm on the board of Uber, so we saw that there. We saw what happens when a culture is driven by burnout. We saw what happens when everything is sacrificed on the altar of hypergrowth. When top performers are forgiven. As I put it, you know, from now on, no brilliant jerks should be allowed. At Thrive Global, my new company, this is a #1 rule. We interview for skills, but then we do 2 critical cultural interviews for culture fit. And it doesn't matter how brilliant you are. If you're a jerk, you're not going to be hired. And you know what? This is not just a decision based on what is best for humanity. It's a decision based on what's best for the bottom line. Because culture is key. If a culture becomes toxic, sooner or later it's going to affect the bottom line. It may not be immediate, but it will happen. And we have so much data that proves that. Culture is a company's immune system. We are not going to fix human nature overnight. We're not going to eliminate all unprofessional behavior overnight. But if you have a strong culture, what happens is that you catch it quickly. You can fix it quickly before it spreads and affects the whole company. You may want to ask, how did I come to be so passionate about these things? I came from journalism. I came from Greece, as you can hear from this accent. I launched the Huffington Post in 2005. I completely bought into the founder myth that you can never really be off. This is my new baby. I have 2 teenage daughters. It's 2005. I'm divorced. I have to be superwoman. I have to be the perfect mom. I have to be the perfect founder. And therefore, something has to give. And what gave is me. So 2 years into this journey, I collapsed. I collapsed from exhaustion, sleep deprivation, and burnout. Hit my head on my desk, broke my cheekbone. I had just been picked to be on the list of Time 100's most powerful people, and as I was lying in a pool of blood and nobody had shot me, I had to ask myself the question, is this what success looks like? But you know what? That was the best thing that happened to me. I really seriously think that if it hadn't happened to me, I might be dead now. So it absolutely woke me up. And it got me studying, first of all the new science that showed unequivocally that, in fact, when we prioritize our own well-being, when we put our own oxygen mask first, as they tell us on aeroplanes, everything else is better. And you know who says that again and again and proves it is elite athletes. Yesterday, if you go to my Instagram or my Facebook or any of the social media platforms, I wrote about my conversation on stage at the Fortune Healthcare Brainstorm Conference with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is pretty awesome, right? Very tall, too. I'm tall, but you should see me next to him. I'm like, so what he was saying is that his well-being, both his physical and his mental well-being, directly affects his performance. So this is somebody whose whole life is about his performance on the court, and who realizes, and has the stats to prove it, that when he doesn't take care of himself, he doesn't take enough time to sleep, to eat right, to recover from working out, his performance is affected. So right now, anytime we use the word well-being, we connect it with performance. The two things are not in a relationship of a trade-off. They rise or fall together. That's why I don't like the term work-life balance, because it's not about work-life balance. It's about work-life integration. We have one life. If you have a sick child, it's going to affect how you show up at work. If you had a fight at work, it's going to affect how you show up at home. We are one human being. So, to cut a long story short, I learned a lot. I brought a lot of these learnings into our coverage at the Huffington Post. But then, 2016, 9 years later, I decided I wanted to spend every minute of my life spreading this message, because I saw how much unnecessary pain there was in the world because of this false belief, because of this delusional way of living and working. And part of what drove me to be a journalist was to try and alleviate suffering. There is a lot of suffering in the world, and there is a lot that we can't immediately fix. You look at what's happening with refugees, immigrants in this country being under assault, what's happening with gun violence. We have to work on all these issues at the same time. But there is one thing that we can change, an amazing amount of suffering that's affecting millions of people that we can change overnight just by changing our belief. 75% of healthcare problems and healthcare costs are because of stress-related, preventable matters. 75%. And it's not just our physical health, it's our mental health. So that's when I left the Huffington Post, which was very hard, because it was like my third child, and it was hard. I was agonizing right until the end. I remember I called Sheryl Sandberg, and she said to me, stop drawing lists of pros and cons. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and jump. And that's what I did, and it's been an amazing journey. So what we're doing now is both going into corporations to help them change their workplaces and their practices, and working directly with consumers through our media platform, which brings together everything I learned at the Huffington Post, but just about this one topic: how do we live our best lives? And I want to invite all of you to write, because human beings change behavior through a combination of data and stories. So you'd be surprised how many people change when they read other people's stories. Like, what are you doing to make your life more effective, and also more joyful, healthier, happier? Share your stories. We are all works in progress. Nobody has figured it out. I mean, I'm not standing here claiming I'm doing everything perfectly, but I'm loving the journey I'm on. And that's really what I want to invite you to participate in. And it's particularly important for women, because women internalize stress differently than men. So women in stressful jobs, and I'm sure that's everybody here, have a 40% greater risk of heart disease and a 60% greater risk of diabetes. And the reason is because of this incredible, insane perfectionism that women have. This voice of negative self-talk that I call the obnoxious roommate living in my head. That puts us down, that tells us we're not good enough, we're not smart enough. Whatever your voice says to you, we need to realize that voice is not the truth. And that voice is particularly intense when we're sleep-deprived and exhausted. Have you noticed? And sleep. So sleep is foundational. You know, for the last couple of decades, we've heard a lot about nutrition and exercise, and these are very important. But the third pillar is sleep. It's not optional. All modern science on sleep, and it's a relatively new science. The first scientific sleep center was founded at Stanford in 1970. All scientists agree that unless you have a genetic mutation, and 1 to 1.5% of the population does, and they don't need a lot of sleep, the rest of us need 7 to 9 hours. So once you prioritize that, everything else is easier and better. And you know, the best ideas that we have are not when we are on email or responding to things. They're when we're in the shower, or taking a walk, or actually connecting with our deeper wisdom. And what's making this harder now is the fact that we are continuously addicted to our devices, right? How many people here sleep with their phones? So Okay. Everything we do at Thrive is based on micro steps. Behavior change through small microscopic changes every day, nothing overwhelming. So let's all try and take one step together tonight. And this is pick a time at the end of the day, at least 5 minutes before you're going to turn off the light, ideally a little longer, but start wherever you can. And turn off your phone and gently escort it out of your bedroom. So this is essential, not just because of the blue light and all that stuff. It's essential because your phone, my phone, is the repository of every problem, every project, everything you're dealing with, right? And you need to put all that aside and just absolutely surrender to recharging. And the truth is that I bet nobody here ends the day and can say, you know, I did everything I could have done today, right? If anybody can say that, you don't have an interesting enough job, and I suggest you change. So basically, you have to declare an arbitrary end to the day. You have to declare it. And human beings learn through rituals. So my declaration is, I turn off my phone, take it out of my bedroom. This is the end of my day. And now I love it. In fact, we have created at Thrive a little charging station that looks like a bed. And it has a little blankie. It has room for 10 phones. So if you have children, a spouse, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever, you can all put your phones there. It has to live outside everybody's bedrooms. You put your phones under the little blanket, you tuck them in, you say goodnight, and you reconnect in the morning. If you don't have the phone bed, which you can buy on Amazon or Best Buy, we're not actually making any money on it. We are just doing it because we believe that it will help people create a family ritual. But if you don't have it, just go put your phone wherever, in the kitchen, anywhere, pick a place. And that's where your phone goes to sleep at night. So that's a priority. And the reason why I don't run to my phone first thing in the morning is because all neuroscientists have told us that if you take 1 minute, I'm not talking about a lot of time, 1 minute in the morning, before you rush to your phone, which is everybody's demands on you, to decide what you want from your day. Set your intention. Remember what you are grateful for. Take some conscious inhales and exhales, whatever you want, and then be ready to approach your day and go to your phone and whatever is on your phone that's maybe stressful or something that requires your full attention. So let me just mention one more thing and then we'll go to questions. And this is, I met this amazing founder of Argent. Does everybody know this place where you can buy these functional blazers and they have things in them that you can put your phone and everything, like men have pockets and we don't have pockets? And I love what she's doing. And I want to work with her. I just met her this morning because women love to partner, don't they? We love to support each other. As Madeleine Albright said, there's a special place in hell reserved for women who don't support other women. So before you leave tonight, meet somebody that you're going to support and somebody who's going to support you. That's how we are more powerful. So anyway, we're going to support each other. So I'm going to support her getting the word out about her business. She's going to support me getting the word out about a campaign I launched, which is called #Repeat. You know what? Women are at a continuous competitive disadvantage because we have this delusional belief that we have to wear something new for every occasion. So while men wear the same suit and nobody even notices, or here in Silicon Valley, the same hoodie, We have to waste not just money, but time, attention, time we could be spending advancing our careers or with our families or whatever we want to do, picking new outfits. And that is stressful because, you have a new outfit and you're not sure exactly how it fits. And you're like, and then you love it. And as soon as you love it, you feel you can't wear it again because, hey, I wore it 2 nights ago and it's on Instagram. So please join my campaign. I actually wear the same thing again and again. I just got this jacket, but you'll see it. I hope you like it because you're going to see a lot of it. And I wear them and I put them in a split screen on my Instagram, the same thing again and again and again. And I highly recommend it. It has taken an enormous amount of pressure and time off what I'm doing. And I think together, again, we can reduce stress from our lives so that we can actually be available to create and to do amazing things and to change the world together. Thank you so much.
Arianna, we have time for a question that has been coming up multiple times. So, and then we're gonna take a group selfie and do a few other things. But you have to talk a little bit about this, how companies, or why you think they're tolerant of this intelligent jerk, diva. How do we deal with this? This is coming up a lot. What do we do with these jerks? Are we hanging them up by the ceiling? What are we gonna do with this concept that you mentioned, and how can we help the audience know how to deal with that differently?
So first of all, there is a new listening now. So if you have a colleague who can be described as a brilliant jerk, and you go to HR or you go to someone in your company and explain why, I think that you are going to be listened to in a way that perhaps you're not going to be listened to even a year ago. Mm-hmm. So the first thing is if that person is around, speak up. The great message of this year has been speak up. We need to empower each other to speak up. I have 2 millennial daughters. I tell them every day, I don't want you to be upset about something and hold on to it for years. I want you to speak up. Because then we're going to catch these things early and deal with them early. And also, I think every recruiter needs to screen for those characteristics. You can identify a lot of them in interviews. And that is the key. That is really the first line of defense. Whom are you bringing into the company? But if they're already there, you can weed them out and teach them. I believe in redemption. I believe people can learn, but they should not learn at the expense of an entire culture. And this is the moment to actually put that into practice. Can we take a couple more questions?
We can. This is a quick one. What's the name of the multifunctional blazer that you were talking about? We want to all support. We need pockets everywhere. What's the name of that?
It's outside. They have them outside.
Okay. So
yeah.
we just need
is
to
she
step
here?
outside the room.
It's called Argent, right? A-R. Are you here? Great.
Hold on, I'm going to read it to you.
Yeah,
it is argentwork.com, ARGENTWORK.com.
And there is a whole rack. There's a whole rack outside, so you can go try them. Apparently Hillary Clinton wears them multiple times. Fantastic. I wish she had talked about repeats in the campaign.
There you go.
She might be president.
Arianna, we have to go back to sleep because the question is, what about my family, my children, the guilt? How am I managing all of this? And I really, everyone here really wants to get some sleep.
Okay, so first of all, guilt. How many women here are mothers? Okay, you know that they take the baby out and they put the guilt in. Did you know that? Well, most obstetricians are men, so what do you expect? But the point is that no matter what we do, mothers feel guilty. Working mothers feel guilty. I mean, I felt guilty when I was away from my kids because I was working. I felt guilty when I was with my kids and not working. So we just need to let ourselves understand that we are not going to do mothering perfectly, that the children are resilient. The most important thing is for them to know they are loved. For me, the key is unconditional loving and giving ourselves a break. And sleep is key, because when we get enough sleep, we are more empathetic, we are less reactive, we are less likely to be upset by the slightest thing. And this is so important, because so often what happens is that we are exhausted, so we snap at everybody, our children, our colleagues, everybody. We miss the red flags. Like, I can say categorically that the biggest mistakes I made in business have been hiring mistakes when I was too exhausted to notice the red flags. So we need to realize that getting enough sleep is not just good for our health, it's good for what we are doing, and it makes it possible for us to be in a state of being from which state we are much better at doing. Thank you for the t-shirt.
So I have a question. There are a lot of really good questions here, and I have an idea. It's up to you. What if we take these questions and then we can have you answer them, and we can put them up on Thrive?
Absolutely.
And then folks can come look at Thrive.
I would love that.
We can address the questions based on what comes out of the women in Silicon Valley.
Yes, and also, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you my email address, and you can email me, and we'll post them all publicly so others can see them. But also, you can share your stories. Like, what are you doing? Like, when you started getting more sleep, will you share that story?
I will share it. When I wake up, I'm going to write it.
You have a few hundred witnesses here. So.
I will write it.
So it's my email address is very simple, ah@thriveglobal.com. And if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see a lot of repeats. And also, and my Instagram is simple, Arianna Huff with 2 Fs. And basically a lot of inspirational quotes, because I believe that inspirational quotes are really key to course correcting during the day when we get stressed and upset. So I'm just going to give you 2 of my favorites to leave you with. One is, remember that life is a dance between making it happen and letting it happen. You know, don't think you make everything happen. If you look back at your life, you'll realize that sometimes you just have to be open to amazing things happening, and you have to be open to notice and recognize them. And the other thing is a quote by Rumi, the Persian poet, who said, "Live life as though everything is rigged in your favor." So no matter what happens, however negative it may seem at the time, there may be a secret blessing there. I remember, for example, I lived with a guy when I was in my 20s I was crazily in love with him. I was with him for 7 years. I don't know why I was crazy in love with him. He was twice my age and half my size, but but love is blind, as you know. But he didn't want to have children. He just wanted to have cats. And I got to be 30, and I really, really wanted to have children. I knew I wanted to have children. So I left London, where we lived together, and moved to New York. The only reason I moved to New York was in order to put an ocean between us. Otherwise, I thought I would just not be strong enough not to go back. And so all the great things that happened in my life, you know, my children, my career, the Huffington Post, Thrive Global, happened because a man wouldn't marry me. So remember that when bad things happen, okay?
I love it. We're going to take a selfie with this group. So, before you go, why don't we take a selfie?
Yes.
We'll send that to you at Thrive
Great,
as
I'll
well.
put it on all my social media.
Well, we'll put it on ours for sure, because
Yes.
y'all know I need followers. So, All right, so let's see. We're
How
gonna
is
try-
that? Are you good at selfies?
No, but that's all right.
Is there
I'm good at
any-
math and lots
Is there
of other
anybody
things.
here with a long
Yeah, I
arm
don't
who
have
is
a
good?
selfie stick.
I think we might need
No, we got
somebody.
it.
You got it?
Yeah, watch. First we do this way, and then we're gonna do this one. They're laughing behind us, but we got it. Awesome.
Okay, what do you think? You got
I
it?
think we got it. I think so. So before you go, we're going to give you your shirt. Here you go. Get some sleep.
Thank you so much. I'm going to wear it tonight.
Awesome. Thank you for your time. This is awesome.
And I got my book. Thank you so much, everybody. It was so great to be with you. Onward and upward. You know what is actually my new saying? Onward, upward, and inward. Because when we go in to recharge, we are more likely to be able to go onward and upward without stress and without exhaustion and with more joy and more gratitude and more love. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch. Take care.